Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 13. I'm your host, VyseTheBold. This is
Lotus Prince.
And I'm PyroJackFrost.
We got another good show here.
Oh,
and,
good save. I heard you getting ready for it.
I already
thought
had
you were going to go for the hat trick.
I already had two shoes, so what will I do with a third?
But that was amazing, though. Like, I heard you, like, with your voice, being
yeah,
like, no,
what am
I better
gonna do
not.
This every fucking episode? Get the hell out of here. And about 1,000 less crickets this time. So.
For sure.
I need to make a soundboard so I can have the crickets.
Yeah.
Bring me the crickets.
It was pretty funny. Somebody was commenting on it on the YouTube comments, and he was just like, "What was up with the crickets?" And I was like, "It's the sound of our audience."
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I was wondering if anyone else heard it because I heard it throughout the whole episode. I'm like, this is bad.
And I checked the tracks in post. I was like, I remember one time I was at Vyse, I did hear crickets, but it could be anybody.
There's
and I'm checking the audio tracks, and I'm like,
there's lots of crickets around Vyse's neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. My neighborhood is just like that, and
it's because everyone's constantly telling bad jokes.
Especially around my house.
Yep.
Too bad. They should have quite a few in Queens, if I may say so. Damn.
Yeah, but I'm on the second floor, so I probably don't pick them up. See, I pick up cats, so if you ever hear a cat meowing, that's probably from me.
Oh, I've heard that at we've actually got that in one of the installments of our Let's Play, I think, at like Police Knots or something when I was recording with Vyse.
Yeah, there's sometimes when right when I go to bed afterwards, I'll just hear a cat meowing. I'm just like, what is this cat doing? Because there's lots of stray cats around here. Like, I walk to the bus, and I see at least 5 cats on my way to the bus.
Oh, damn.
Hiding under cars, whatever. Like, they obviously don't belong to anyone.
Mm.
Yeah, I do all my recording right downstairs, and you can hear pretty much everything from the outside right down here when the window is open. So.
And you've had several crickets get in the house too.
Oh yeah, no.
I've had that.
My house is like gets like around like 5 or 6 crickets like per week in it around this time of year because they're trying not to die from getting colder.
Yeah, I've had that myself.
So
they should know better. You're trying to do a podcast. God, give the man a break.
I don't even know how to play cricket.
You need to know what a crumpet is to know how to play cricket.
I was gonna say that. Nice.
Well, I'm glad I only heard it once.
That's great. All right, well, let's get the show on the road. Pyro, what did you do this week?
So, the first thing I have that I want to talk about is Pokemon Go, because of the fact that I uninstalled it finally.
Sounds like you, Pokemon stop.
It's funny, like, I think I'm going to start every single episode talking about the latest mobile game that I've uninstalled.
You're going to have to keep downloading and installing new ones just to drop them later.
Well, I have one for next week already, so.
Nice.
The thing about, like, mobile games is, like, I feel like everybody's just like that with mobile phone games.
And, like, with Pokemon Go, like, I started playing it when it came out, and it was fun, but it got to be a time when I'm walking anywhere, I'm on my phone the whole time, and not that I care about that, I usually am texting or looking at it anyway, but same thing what I mentioned last time, it starts to get where at the time when the game's playing you, and at times when I'm thinking, like, I'm going to go outside just to catch Pokemon. Not that that's a bad thing.
I didn't catch a single Pokemon. I downloaded it, and I downloaded it to be social, like, which is kind of funny. I downloaded it, like, just in case people around me were playing it, and I didn't want to be the odd one out.
Well, it's a few things, like, there's a lot of Pokemon near me, and I could always go to, like, Central Park or whatever. There's no problem with catching the Pokemon. It's the fact that, and this is with me with all mobile games, is I play them a lot. I play them, like, non-stop, and then I kind of get over with them really quickly. Like, with Pokemon Go, the trick was catch all these Pokemon and don't evolve them right away. Catch all the Pokemon until you have a full bag, then use up this item that gives you, like, double experience, and then evolve everything. So I got, like, massive level gains, and I was level, like, 22 when I stopped, which is not that high, but it's pretty high for most people. And then I'm just like, you know what, I'm done playing it, because there's nothing else to do other than catch Pokemon and evolve them. And it's a great idea. Don't get me wrong, like, when they have more functions to it, I may install it again, but right now there's really nothing else going for it other than catching Pokemon, and you
think
can't
it
really
would be better.
you can't catch them all. So
I think it would be a lot better if it's synced up with a 3DS game where you played actual Pokemon.
it would.
You know what I mean?
That would be great, but the thing is, it's not owned by Nintendo, so.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is that one, there are Pokemon that are exclusive to certain areas. Like you can only catch a Farfetch'd in Japan. You can only
Really?
catch.
Yeah, because that is actually related to a real duck that is being like it's rare. First of all, in the Pokédex, it says it's rare.
Mhm.
That's
And-
fine, but like, give me a break.
But
But
it's
also it's like that. It's modeled after a duck that actually is being hunted to extinction.
yeah, but it's even ignoring that, the fact that you can't catch them all unless you actually travel, which I like the idea of the game, getting people to go out. There are a lot of people who went out for walks who probably would never have gone out for walks before that game, but they aren't common enough, and I know there's a fine balance between making the Pokemon common enough so you can catch all of them, but not common enough so you actually have to get out. But it's just once you've played for a while and realize you're just getting the same things over and over again. Like I had bags full of Pidgeys, basically 250 Pokemon I can hold, and I could say 100 to 150 of them were just Pidgeys. So it's like there were too many common Pokemon, and there weren't enough like rare Pokemon. It just there need to be more to it. So yeah, that's that thing. That's Pokemon Go. So I'm done with that. Not that it's a bad game, but for now I'm pausing on that. But there were some other games that I went back to that I actually really enjoyed. Mainly because I don't know if you two know about it, but I know Android or Google has been beta testing the Play Store on Chromebooks, and when I left my teaching job, I had to turn back my computer, so I got myself a Chromebook because I kind of needed a laptop, and I got a Chromebook because I figured, why not? It's nice, easy, small, I can bring it with me. So they finally let you play phone games, phone apps on your Chromebook. So I downloaded some of my old games. So I tried out Lara Croft Go again. I beat it on the phone, but I was just playing with it, and it's as good as I remember it being. And I really, really, really want to get Hitman Go and Deus Ex Go, but I know that if I get them, I'm going to distract myself from playing more Shin Megami Tensei, so I'm going to wait until I beat the game before I do that.
All Go games, huh?
Yeah, no,
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's a good point. But no, like the Square Enix, I guess you could say, or Eidos Go games are actually really fun puzzle games, and I know Vyse, I'm pretty sure you've played them before, at least Lara Croft.
No,
Go.
I know about them.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't played them, but
I highly
I'm
recommend
waiting,
it.
I'm waiting until all of them get released on Steam so I can play them on TV.
Oh, are they going to be on Steam?
Well, Hitman is, so I assume the other two will be if they sold well enough.
Okay.
I assume.
I would probably buy them again on Steam because they're that good. And
Yeah, like all the really good mobile games that I've really liked in the last couple of years have ended up coming on Steam.
Ew.
Like in particular, the ones that I really liked were Pac-Man 265, I think it's what it's called. It's made by the people who make Crossy Road.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of
So yeah, it's really good. It's basically a perpetual Pac-Man. Like you go forward. It's isometric, and you go forward eating the dots, and you just have to keep going. It's an infinite runner, but it's Pac-Man, and you have to go through a maze and eat ghosts while you're doing
I
it.
think I've seen that, and you get like ridiculous power-ups like lasers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I
love Pac-Man games most of the time. I don't like it when they get bloated. Like I don't like Pac-Man World. That's not something that I'm into. I'm not into like the 3D platformers, but I like the puzzle style ones, like ones that are based off of the original concept of Pac-Man. They usually do a good job with it. Hence, I really love Pac-Man Battle Royale, 4-player Pac-Man game.
So you said that was Pac-Man 265?
I think that's what it's called. Let me double check.
No, you don't have to check now. I'll check it out later.
Yeah,
the other game that I played on my Chromebook was Hearthstone, and I know that I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like, I love most, if not all, of Blizzard games. At least I've played all of them, and have enjoyed the time I've played them.
Do you like Blackthorn?
Yeah. Oh, actually, sorry, I haven't played that one. That's like the only one I think I haven't played.
North by Northwest.
The Lost Vikings games.
I've beaten both of those. Yes.
Yeah.
Damn.
Nice.
And I love card games.
Have you beaten Overwatch?
I've beaten Overwatch. Yes.
Made it to the end credits of Overwatch.
I've watched all of Overwatch.
Yeah.
And all right, I'm done.
No, keep going.
And I really enjoy card games. I used to be a huge Magic the Gathering player when I was a kid.
Yeah, you were great at it.
But the thing is, I really don't like the collectible card games. Like a game that I really was into recently was Netrunner, because it's by Fantasy Flight Games, and it's what's called a living card game. What that basically means is when they release an expansion pack, you buy it and you have all the cards. So you will always have a full playset of any card, as long as.
So everybody has an
packs.
equal opportunity
Correct.
to use what's in the deck, or
Correct.
what's
and
in
the good bad is if you know you need a certain card, you know exactly what pack you need to buy. But you'll probably also get cards that you don't want. But there has to be some way that they're going to make money off of it. The thing is, Hearthstone is a collectible card game, so there is randomness to the packs. And I know that I don't want to spend real money. Luckily, they have in-game currency that you can use. And you can, if you have extra cards, you can always, I forget what they call it, I think it's disenchant the cards, which gives you dust, which you can use to create any card you want. So that's also a good thing.
Sounds like a mobile game to me.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that I don't like, and I know they have reasons, but they are stopping release of some older sets. So if you don't get them in time, then you won't ever be able to buy them again. And I believe I might have missed one, so I feel like now there's no point because I can't get everything. So, and the one thing that really annoys me whenever I play it is I play in the competitive portion of it just because you get card backs every month for getting to a certain rank. But the thing is, there are some players who have awesome decks, and in the beginning of the month, there's no way, if you are just a casual player, can beat these people. Because they have basically amazing decks. And I'm not that great at deck building. I like playing card games, but the deck building part I still have trouble with. But I will say that as far as a card game goes, and as far as a card game you can play whatever you want, Hearthstone is a great game. It's just, I have so many other things to play. Like, if I didn't have all these other games I wanted to play, I would play Diablo and Hearthstone, and those would be the only games I'd ever play, basically. But I have other things I want to do, so I can't.
No, I get it.
In particular, I am continuing Shin Megami Tensei 4, and I don't know if any of our listeners noticed, but I still have yet to beat Tokyo Mirage Sessions because I got this game and it's been taking up my time. It is a much better Mega 10 game. I know Tokyo Mirage Sessions isn't technically Mega 10, but
it might as well be.
But I find it really good. Again, there's so many things they've changed that are great. I can see what a lot of people say about the story, why people don't like the story. It can kind of be linear. Like, Vyse, you've played a little bit at least of the Mega 10 games, right? And I
sure.
think,
Yep.
Lotus Prince, you haven't really played many of them, if at all.
I haven't touched them. I mean, I own P3P because I downloaded it, like the portable one, and I own Persona 4 Golden and Catherine. But I haven't.
That's not in the series. It has the same art style, but and by the same people, but it's technically. But anyway, I understand.
I know a lot about them.
I haven't played.
So the general idea of the core games, the actual Shin Megami Tensei games like Nocturne and etc., is the fact that throughout the game there are choices you make, and you don't realize it, but there's a hidden bar sliding between good and, law and chaos, that your choices are determining what ending you're gonna get, based on what decisions you're making in the game. So in Mega 10 4, there might be a question saying, somewhere in the game, you're fighting a guy and it's spare him or kill him. And that's a more obvious one, but if you spare him, you get a couple points towards law. If you choose kill him, you'll get a couple points towards chaos. And all those choices build up, and there might be times when you don't realize. That's the choices might be a little bit less obvious what they're gearing towards. But in this game, it seems at least, there have been a lot of choices, but very much seems less choice. If you pick a wrong answer, they're just going to do that whole RPG thing where they're going to ask you the question again, are you sure?
But thou must. Yeah, but thou must.
I love that.
So I can see why people don't like it. Also, it does seem a lot more anime. There's a lot more characters and a lot more, good versus evil kind of story, instead, whereas the games before it weren't really like that. So, but I kind of feel like I'm maybe halfway through the game, so there might be more toward the end. It might be building up towards a lot more, but I will say that everything else that I've been playing with it has been a lot more fun. It's a lot easier to play than the previous one, which is easier to play both in the sense that they've taken out a lot of the annoying things, like gameplay-wise, but also easier to play, where I find it is a little bit easier overall, because you have these partners that help you in battle. Like at the end of your turn, your partner will do something, and then the enemy turn happens, and they have a meter that builds up, and when it's full, like, they'll all mass attack the enemy, where it's not like the balance isn't thrown too much, but at times I'll feel like it's a bit too easy. But it's still really fun, and I mean, I could talk about it forever. So I'm going to take a break for now and let Lotus Prince talk about his week.
I find this series fascinating. I love hearing you talk about it, because like I've said before, I really want to get into it, and it's just so different than your typical type of game.
Yeah, the thing is, they're very dense, and they really require a lot of knowledge about the system to understand how to go. Like, the whole point of the game is fusing gathering demons, fusing them to make a stronger party, etc. But if you are just capturing demons instead of fusing them, like, your party will suck. And if you're fusing demons only to see what has, like, the best stats, let's say, you won't do well. Like, you need to have a nice balance of the element types, and realize in battles it's okay to switch out party members. Like, you might say, this is my team, I have a nice balance of all different elements. But if you find a boss who's all weak against wind, you are much better off having your weaker guys who have wind skills attack than keeping all of your strongest party members in there, because they might die quickly, because they might be weak against what the enemy can use. And it's just a whole thing that you need to know a lot about the system. And it's really cool, though, because it deals a lot with mythology and stuff like that. And I love mythology. That's one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah, me too. That's part of why I really drawn to it, and I know it's a video game series for experts. So I definitely had this yearning to want to take part in it, and I'm getting there. I think I'm starting to warm up to it more and more. It's just like, I didn't used to like RPGs to begin with, and this is the most RPG of RPG kind of games, except for maybe rogue games, which most rogue type games I can't I don't like, except for games that mix rogue elements into them, like Binding of Isaac. I'll play that.
Yeah, game is brilliant.
But and I'll play things like Rogue Legacy just because I love Metroidvania. So anything with Metroidvania, that's a roguelike with Metroidvania elements.
I'm pretty hit or miss with Metroidvania. I never even got into Super Metroid, but I did like Rogue Legacy. No, seriously, back when I was in high school, I didn't have a Super Nintendo, so I had no choice but to emulate the game. And one of my friends came over, and he was helping me through the game that I was playing on my computer. And eventually I was just no, I don't like it. And this was when I was just before the ends too. I think I'd beaten all the main bosses before you get to the final dungeon.
Really?
I'm I don't care. I just didn't care. I might feel differently now, but I just was not into it.
Yeah, I think after
I like Metroid Prime, even though it's weird to platform in a first-person game. That was alright. And I freaking love Rogue Legacy, but I just did not care about Super Metroid.
I think after the Mega 10 games, the Metroidvania games are some of my favorites. Symphony of the Night, I at one point was playing it once a year.
That's another one of those games I would I love watching them every single time, but playing them I'm I don't know, because I have fun with it, and then all of a sudden I'm this level, it just kind of keeps going. It's just
monster! You steal men's souls and make them your slaves.
Yeah, I same is true about all religions. But
I'll be stealing lots of souls and demon souls. Let's Play's coming up.
Nice.
Metroidvanias are probably my favorite genre of games, and I actually want to center the Corrective Consciousness YouTube page around that. At least in the beginning, I want to play a bunch of those type of games, just basically showcasing the types of games I like and I'm good at.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like Metroidvanias, and I'll play, like, if I had a genre to just play those and that's it, I would go with those type of games, because there are a lot of really good ones out there. Like Ori and the Blind Forest is a fantastic game that
cool.
and it requires a lot of really precise platforming, but not in a really annoying way. It's actually made in a kind of like in a Super Meat Boy way. Like if you die, you basically start over like right there. So I really like what they did with that game, and I also like the story. The story was fantastic, and I play those types of games all the time, and they're the ones that I beat the most frequently too. You guys know that I typically don't beat a lot of the games that I play. I kind of just dip in here and there, and I also play like a lot of arcade style games. So like, why beat those? But you know, or you don't have to beat those to enjoy them. You know, it's just quick playing. But I kind of want to, almost do a history of Metroidvanias and pick out like the best ones that I know.
Don't forget to talk about Metroid.
Oh, I will.
Don't forget to talk about Castlevania. Well, something of the night, obviously.
If I'm gonna start, I'll probably do a game called Metroid Deluxe. Which is a ROM hack of Metroid 1. And what that does is it adds a map to the game.
Yeah, thank you.
And it adds a few other features, I think, like save RAM rather than password.
That's very nice.
So I'm definitely going to, if I'm going to start, I'm going to start from the beginning and do that, and then I'll play AM2R, and then I'll move on to Super Metroid.
Yeah, AM2R looks freaking gorgeous. From
I might do like a quick comparison between the original and that one, but it's really hard to do a Let's Play of the original versions of Metroid 1 and 2, just because you don't know where you're going unless you're drawing a map while you're doing it, or you're reading
if you're
a map.
A really old school gamer.
So like, I'm all for, it's fun to make a map with some some graph paper and shit, but
that's why you like the Etrian Odyssey games.
Yeah, but like not on an actual piece of paper. You know what I mean? I'd rather have the game do it for me.
Yeah, that's like King's Quest V when you're going through the desert or the labyrinth at the end. Well, not labyrinth, the maze at the end. Like, you kind of need to just draw a map, or else you'd be lost for hours. Even though it's not that big, but you never know that when you play it.
See, like a game like Stonekeep, it actually keeps the map for you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that when I was a kid, so I just got lost constantly.
God help you. Yeah, that place is nothing but just corridors.
So even Doom has a map. Come on. Yeah. I mean, it's so like
the old vector map.
So when trying to play like the original Phantasy Star and Shining in the Darkness, the game right before the first Shining Force games, those are first-person dungeon crawlers. They don't have maps, and like they're really, really, really hard. Like if you go in without a map and if you don't draw one, you're done. Like especially in the later levels. So just like I'm just gonna download one and use that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Neither do I.
It's basically like, it's not so much cheating as it is cutting off like however much time of just doing nothing. It's just like, oh, it's another dead end. It's like, you're cutting out that crap. It's it's not that big of a deal.
There's a reason why games aren't like that anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because people don't have time for that shit. Like, you know what I mean? And they don't have time for, oh wait, maybe I drew the map wrong here. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
God, yeah,
I'm not a cartographer, but what I mean, Etrian Odyssey makes making a map like part of the fun, but like none of the rest of those games, like, is it fun to, like, it might be fun, I guess, for some people, but it isn't for me. So
what I also really like is games like not so much Silent Hill. Silent Hill, I love what they do with the map once you have it, but I like Resident Evil where, I mean, I guess like Etrian Odyssey, like until you find the map, if you go to the map screen, it kind of builds the map as you go.
Yeah, I mean that's a quite an okay mechanic in my mind because you're scrambling for the map.
Yeah.
So
what I also really like, by the way, is I don't even know if I knew this in the first place, but with the Resident Evil remake, not only do you have the map, but the rooms are red or green. Red means that there are still items in there to pick up. They may not be important, but there's something in there. So if you ever don't know what to do next,
there might be ammo or whatever in there.
It could just be ammo, but if you ever don't know what to do next, that could be a big hint as well.
That's cool.
I actually never noticed that because I'm so meticulous when I play those games that I never really ran into that issue.
Well, there are some cases where it might become relevant. Like, I mean, not for beating the game, but there's like an herb that's totally invisible because it's behind a bed and it's a fixed camera angle, so you can't look behind it. You just have to go there and press the find button and hope you get something.
Oh, I get that.
But that's a rare situation, and it doesn't matter. They don't put key items in places like that.
Well, unless you have anything else to go over, Pyro.
Yeah, no, that's basically my week.
All right,
we can move on to Lotus here.
Yeah, mine is really short. I was just mentioning remake. About last week, like shortly after the podcast, maybe a day or two later, I captured a little more of the Resident Evil remaster Let's Play that I was recording that I won't put up until way later because I'm doing Resident Evil games in order. But I got the rest of Chris's endings. I remembered that I was pretty meticulous about the footage I got for Jill's stuff in Resident Evil 1, so I tried getting alternate scenarios and alternate endings with Chris's scenario in Resident Evil Remake, and I think I pretty much got all the footage I need from that, so that's taken care of. Otherwise, that's basically been my gaming experience. Like, that's it. I've been grading papers and being bored out of my skull. Like, I could be doing stuff I want to this evening, but I have, 52 students.
I don't miss grading.
Yeah, I love my job, but grading is the part that gets you. It takes forever, and it's meticulous, or it's not meticulous. Well, it is meticulous, but it's tedious is the word I was looking for.
Especially if you're an English teacher.
Well, that's the thing. I'm reading 30 essays that are basically the same, and then 20 different essays that are basically the same. It's just oh my god, and I have to comment on each one of these things, and
improve your grammar, shithead.
Yeah, that's the thing though, is obviously you can't write comments like that down because it's what does that mean? Because I heard a good example of that regarding math, where it's if someone solves a math problem wrong, you can't just write do the math better. It's that's not gonna help. So it's like that with English. Have better grammar. What are you talking about? So I have to be a little more specific in that regard. So I'm almost done with that now, but it's just while I'm doing that, I'm not doing stuff I enjoy, which includes new Let's Play footage or that other thing I mentioned I was doing last week. Although the other thing we had done really recently, Vyse, I know this coincides with what you were doing because we were doing it at the same time, was we hung out at our friend Luminaire's house and we took a look finally at the first 3 episodes of Stranger Things. The series is...
that show is so good.
The series is...
I binge-watched it.
Yeah, it's 8 episodes long. We're through 3 of them. It's a lot of fun. It's extremely Stephen King, and Stephen King's It, and various other... Well,
it's very much like
movie,
E.T.
but it's very 80s movies.
E.T. plus Goonies plus Stephen King and X-Files. It's a whole bunch of things.
Someone mentioned on my Facebook, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh yeah, I said that too.
Yeah, and there were bits of Poltergeist in there. And someone also said Firestarter. I don't even know what the plot of that one. So
neither do I.
Take their word
it's
for that
a Stephen King.
I know it's Stephen King, but I don't know
Stephen
anything
King
about it other than I assume there's fire.
Tortured little
involved.
kid, abusive parent.
Okay.
Shit blows up.
Oh yeah, well that
it's
part,
basically Carrie, but with a little.
It probably was Firestarter or Carrie, but it made me think of Elfin Lied because that's what I've seen that has that, and I highly doubt it's making a '90s anime reference, but that was a thing. So Stranger Things,
and
super fun.
I even said it's kind of almost like Gendo from Evangelion is a lot like one of the characters. It's
Yeah.
Like shithead dad.
Yeah, I mean, he's a shithead dad, but I mean, Elfen Lied is just straight up with the, like, I'm going to experiment on my child and, like, torture the child for results. With Gendo, it was like, get into the mech. It's like, I could die. Yeah, I know.
Get in there.
But Elfen Lied, I think, was more on point with, like, horrible torture experiments to turn your child into a weapon. So that's the vibe I got from that. So, long story short, because, like, it's so easy to get into spoiler territory here. It's like Game of Thrones. I don't really want to talk about elements in the show. So, like, super fun show. I can't wait to watch more of it.
Yeah, I started watching it, and I just couldn't stop. And I stayed up till like 3 in the morning to finish it.
Well, I mean, episode 3 was a really good stopping point. Like, a certain thing happened where it's like, it wasn't, let's just say it was not a cliffhanger. Like, there was a conclusion to the arc we were watching. So we were like, that's good. We'll pick this up later, because we're not going to watch for 8 hours.
Yeah, I really like it, and I also like that it's kind of a shorter show, because I'm entrenched in all these really long shows, and it's nice to have one that only has 8 episodes so far, and there's only 8 episodes of the season. So I imagine that they're going to do another season. I think that's
I think they actually did say they were doing another season. Yeah. Okay, so I guess it'd be Strangest Things, or even Stranger Things.
The Strangiest.
Yeah. That's the strangest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, so, I'm wondering like how. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm kind of curious how they're going to do the second season, because they don't answer all the questions, but I kind of don't want them to continue it.
Well, assuming the situation resolves, maybe they could just have a completely different story.
But they're not going. Like, they say that they're going to continue it.
Oh, okay.
But I was kind of hoping it would be Stranger Things would be like an anthology kind of thing.
That would be great. I mean, it's Stranger Things, not that one strange thing.
Yeah, so I'm interested how they're going to do it. I'm kind of worried. I have a feeling it'll be fine, but I'm kind of worried that they kind of are going to take it too far.
Oh, yeah, and we were kind of getting a Silent Hill vibe from it as well. So
there's definitely a thing going on with that I won't. Yeah, I'm not going to get into. But
don't even talk about it. But
but clearly, yes, I can see that.
I don't know when something happens, but you aren't far off.
Yeah, so that show is fantastic. We're a little me and Lotus are a little bit behind on it, behind everybody else who watched it. Like all these people like watch these shows as soon as they come out.
Yeah,
and
there's so many shows like that, like the
newest
season of Game of Thrones or whatever. Like, I mean, for me, the excuse with that one is I get them on DVD, which means that I get them a year after they come out, like on Netflix. So I actively try avoiding word of that. But like Stranger Things, every single time, there's this new series you gotta watch. Yeah, great. There's 50 new series I gotta watch. Yeah, so what I do is I just turn my brain off. I'm like, how about I don't care? So when someone finally says, hey, want to watch it right now, I'll be like, all right, I'll check out that one, I guess.
I'm really glad you're watching Fargo, by the way. That way we can watch the third season.
You know, it'd be awesome if Hulu, the one way you can get it online, had it. That'd be pretty cool. Then I'd be watching season 2, but I can't right now.
I think there's either Amazon or iTunes has episodes you could buy.
I really need to watch Luke Cage. I mean, I know that you two aren't necessarily big on the Marvel TV shows, but
no, I get it, but that's what I'm talking about.
It's I want to watch that too. I just haven't gotten to it.
You could watch. I'm like, or I could watch none of them because
I've been keeping up, but like Luke Cage came out this weekend or something.
Yeah,
like,
I heard it was great.
So, but the thing is, they all come out at once. But now I have less time to watch TV shows because I'm watching other things with my girlfriend and everything. So it's kind of hard to stop and find time to watch them. And I know I won't be able to binge watch it either because I'd maybe be able to watch 1 or 2 episodes.
See, I really liked what I saw of Daredevil, but I only saw 2 episodes. I loved it. I'm a huge Daredevil fan.
I feel like the first season's better than the second, but I thought it was really good.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I want to watch that. I want to watch True Detective. I haven't got I hear that's like right up my alley.
I gotta watch Breaking Bad, but it's like 100 seasons.
The first season of True Detective is up your alley, and the second season sucked.
I mean, there's also like a Westworld show coming out, and that kind of piques my interest. Like, it came out. Yeah. It comes out tonight, I think.
That intrigues me because I did see the movie, and it was a fun movie.
Yeah, so like, there's tons of things I want to watch. I would love to go back and watch like the Hannibal TV show, like the Hannibal Lecter TV show. Great.
That's the thing. There's so much stuff. I'm just like, how about no? I'll just like I can't bring myself to care when there's so much of it. You know, it's just like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, you lost me. Like, it's too much. Don't care anymore.
I don't know how all of my friends like watch things right when they come out. Like, they seem all up on everything, and I just I guess maybe because like I'm constantly doing like passion projects and also hanging out with different groups of friends and things like that. I'm really social.
Wait, you have other friends other than us?
Yeah, what?
Well,
you didn't tell me about them.
The actual truth is that you aren't friends. They're my friends, but you're associates at best. At best.
You said that so seriously, I almost believed you.
Yeah, like, you're not friends. It's just like, oh, jeez.
I mean, Pyro, if you're not my friend, I don't know who is. You're like my oldest friend, like, literally.
I'm not that old.
Yeah, I mean, but like, back to the thing, with me, it's not so much passion projects, unless you count the Let's Plays, but it's like my endless grading and my Let's Plays. Like, I'm not gonna watch 12 episodes that are like an hour long each, especially in a row. Like I'll watch my one episode of One Piece a week, thanks, and my one episode of JoJo a week.
Yeah. No, I'm getting into this problem where I'm watching different shows with different groups of friends, and I can only watch those. Like, I've gotten myself deadlocked where I got really interested in a show and I can't watch the rest of the episodes when I have free time because I have to wait until everybody's schedules sync up. So, like, Stranger Things, like, I wanted to watch the rest of those today, but that sucks. I'm not gonna do that to you guys because I really want to watch it with you. But oh man, like, and that actually goes into the other show that I was watching this week. I'm watching Breaking Bad, another show that like I'm way past due on. I still
need to watch that. I haven't even started it.
I'm in the 4th season. I can't even talk about it because like talking about it at all
everything's a spoiler.
And because that show's all about like I wonder what happens now. You know, like
not to mention, like, again, like Game of Thrones, like, even if you mention someone being alive at that point, it's like, oh, so that person lives, because Breaking Bad is one of those shows where I think people die.
Well, yeah.
I mean, not Game of Thrones level.
Main characters die, yeah.
Yeah, but Game of Thrones, like, if you even mention a character's name, it's like everybody dies in Game of Thrones. So if you mention someone's name in season 6 or whatever, it's like, whoa, that person's alive.
Yeah. So like even that's a spoiler in that.
Yeah.
But in Breaking Bad, it's. I'm just gonna say this. I love the show. I love the original premise, which it kind of got away from as time went on. But the original premise was that you have a chemistry teacher that solves real life like violent problems with science. Like he like in the first couple episodes would use science to get him out of a situation. Mm-hmm. Like he would use chemistry specifically to get him out of a certain situation, and he would do that quite a lot. He was kind of like the MacGyver, like but with chemistry. Mm-hmm. He was like MacGyver in that regard. But it's gotten to the point where it's all about the drama and like the crime life that's going on in the show. And not that that's a bad thing, but I still wish they had peppered a little bit more of the chemistry back into it.
It's kind of like, have you ever watched or heard of the show Weeds?
I heard about it. So yeah, I haven't watched it.
That's an old show. I will try not to spoil anything, but it's so old. It's kind of like
it's a Showtime show, right?
I believe so. But that's about like a mom who, if I remember correctly, she's
a pot dealer, right?
She becomes a pot dealer because she needs the money, and it ends up becoming so much about the drama and so less about like the living with the mom. Like it started off kind of like a comedy in a way, not a comedy, but there were a lot of funny parts because of like the living with a mom who steals pot and whatever. But then it started like season 3. She moved to Mexico because she started dating a guy who's like a drug kingpin. It got kind of too much.
Ludicrous.
Yeah, out of proportion.
Yeah, and Breaking Bad is it deals with one of the primary themes is something that I really like. It's primarily about a character that has so much ego that it ruins his life. So like it's kind of like a serious version of Frasier if you
I know
view
what
it
you're
like
saying.
that. I love Frasier because the entire conceit is that the main characters, like Dr. Frasier Crane and Niles Crane, Dr. Niles Crane, are so egotistical about themselves that it holds them back. And they are great at what they do, but their ego gets in the way of anything that they want. And so, I don't know, and I don't know, it kind of resonates with me in some ways. I have to, like, a lot of times tell myself to be humble and things like that because I don't want to be like a jerk. So, it's, you have to dial things back sometimes. So, I really like shows like that. And Breaking Bad's all about that, but it also makes you just hate the main character because he's just a piece of shit. So, but he's, that's what the whole series is about. I mean, I'm not spoiling anything there because Breaking Bad, it's about a man who is good that falls into being bad, kind of like in The Godfather. The Godfather, Michael Corleone is like for all intents and purposes, an innocent person. He was out in the war and he probably had killed people, but it's not. That's not usually considered evil. Going out and fighting a war for your country, especially World War II, which is when it's supposed to happen. World War II is by a lot of people is a justified war, but he doesn't start to become evil or until he makes a certain choice, and then it's all downhill from there, and then he makes it worse and worse and worse, and it's basically like that. And in this show, it's making you squirm because like the character is just like he's just a piece of shit. I mean, so it's really cool to watch it because you want to see how he screws it up next and how he's going to get out of it. And they do things in a very clever way, usually through political machinations and things like that. And it's been really cool. And I love crime drama. I love crime movies. I love noir stuff. So like it just fits all in with that, and I really pushes my buttons in that way. But I digress. This is your segment, Lotus.
No, I was gonna say after Stranger Things, I'm done. Like I really don't have much to talk about this week.
I'm done with life.
I'm done.
So then I will talk about a few things. I've been reading the Red Harvest. I don't know if you guys if I mentioned that before.
Oh, that must be the sequel to Return of the Jedi.
Actually, it inspired the Blue Harvest name of it.
It actually came from there? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was Empire Strikes Back that was Blue Harvest, wasn't it?
No, I'm pretty sure it was Return of the Jedi.
Was it Return of the Jedi? Okay.
I think it might have been, yeah.
Oh, okay. So that anybody who doesn't know, that's the code name that Return of the Jedi was filmed under. But the Red Harvest was and still is a very influential hard-boiled detective novel that inspired two of the best movies of all time, including Fistful of Dollars and Yojimbo. So Yojimbo is an Akira Kurosawa film, the guy who made Seven Samurai and many other timeless...
Amusingly enough, he did Hidden Fortress, right?
I'm not quite sure about that one.
Well, I'll look that up.
He did Rashomon, I know that.
No, because if he did do Hidden Fortress, I'm just saying that would be amusing because that was also an inspiration for Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, Seven Samurai, like, his movies are very influential, and they've been copied many, many times. His structure has been copied many times.
Too. I mean, I think I've watched most, if not all of them.
He has tons of movies. Wow.
I remember, I think
just looked it up. He did do Hidden Fortress.
We watched Hidden Fortress. I don't know if it was with you or someone else, but I know I watched.
Not
Hidden
with
Fortress
me.
Yeah, I've never
Seven
seen
Samurai at Otakon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Seven Samurai, just for viewer knowledge, is actually the inspiration for the new Magnificent Seven movie that's out right now.
Well, kind of. The Seven Samurai was inspiration for the Magnificent Seven, which was inspiration for the new Magnificent Seven.
Well, yeah,
it's a remake of a remake.
Yeah, but they're going to take notes from both sources, you know, if they're worth their salt.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
anyway,
if they're worth their salt.
But anyway, so Red Harvest is the original version of this Yojimbo and Fistful of Dollars concept, which is the setting is different in all of those movies. You know, in Sanjuro or Yojimbo, I'm sorry, in Yojimbo, I get the two confused because they're sequels. But in Yojimbo, it takes place during feudal Japan, during the samurai era, and the Fistful of Dollars takes place in the Wild West. It's a Clint Eastwood movie made by Sergio Leone. The concept is that a guy goes into a town that is completely overridden by crime, and the crime element is actually two separate gangs that are fighting each other in the town over dominance over the town. Like there's innocent people still left in the town, not many, but the town needs to be saved from these two gangs that have been ruining the town and stripping of all of its resources and making it a terrible place to live. And he basically goes in, the hero goes in there and pits them against each other. Like they were like in a stalemate, and he basically makes them go from a cold war into a hot one, and fixes everything that way. They basically all kill each other. I'm not ruining anything because this is a trope. It's not. But this happens in Fistful of Dollars in the Wild West. Well, in the original version, it takes place in a noir-like setting. It's a hard-boiled detective novel, so there's femme fatales and things like that, and it takes place in a town called Personville, but but what's funny about it is like the person has like a one of the person who tells him it's Person Town, like the main character, that it's Person Town, calls it Poison Town because he has like a Brooklyn accent, so it's like it's pretty cool. I was like, I see what you did there. But I'm liking it so far. I haven't got very far into it, but I'm happy to read a big inspiration for two of my favorite movies. And the big game that I played this week was actually the newly released PC port of Dead Rising 1. So I actually ended up buying that today and ended up playing the whole afternoon.
Nice.
So I had this for 360, and I have all of the Dead Rising games, but I never really got anywhere with them because I never really beat the first one, and I wanted to beat the first one first.
Yeah, I think I had the first one for 360, and I just couldn't play it on my TV because it had that bad text. Like small text problem.
It was really early.
And also, I didn't like the hour, like the one, other than QTEs, the one gameplay mechanic that I can't stand is timed games.
I get that.
Yeah.
The profile is barely acceptable.
So, I like you didn't like it when I originally played it, and I knew I was wrong about it because it's good. So now I'm playing it for the first time after I got over my hang-ups with Majora's Mask. And it's basically like Majora's Mask, but it's a zombie game.
Gotcha.
So, what's cool about it is you get to save your progress. You get to save your characters leveling up, and the game gets to be a lot quicker. And it's very much like Majora's Mask in a lot of ways. It's probably the only game that I can think of that's like Majora's Mask. There's certain events happening at certain times. You can go interact with those characters during those times, and then you can get spoils from it. You can go on the main quest and move forward that way, which is cool, and it doesn't take a lot of time if you know exactly what you're doing. So, and there's a lot of conveniences put into the game, like you can skip cutscenes and things like that. So it's not as bad as it could be. when it comes to that kind of stuff. And with the game looks a lot better now too. Now that it's they remastered it. The controls are a little bit hard to get used to, especially the shooting controls in particular. So the shooting controls take a lot of inspiration from Resident Evil 4, and if anybody remembers, Resident Evil 4 doesn't have strafing. Resident Evil 5 does.
I realized that.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 is still stick and move.
Some of the bosses in the game are particularly difficult because you beat the zombies with anything. You can fling CDs at them and stuff like that. You can hit them with melee weapons very easily, and it's a lot of fun to do so. But the bosses in the game are sentient beings, so like they typically have weapons. They typically have guns too. So you have to basically fight them with guns. You can't just go up to them and beat the crap out of them. Mm-hmm. So I had to get used to using the old controls, so I actually ended up futzing around with the controls a lot, and I got them to be manageable. But you still can't. It doesn't have the niceties of a lot of games of recent years. It doesn't have a way to snap to a wall, so you can crouch and stick your head out. There's none of that stuff. Mm-hmm. There's none of that Gears of War style shooting action. 2 is a lot better in that regard. I played several about an hour of 2 before, and it's a lot better in that regard. But there's some cool things about 1 that are unique amongst its progeny. So I really like it, and I'm actually getting into it now. So I will be playing more and more of that, and that'll probably be my main game for a little while.
Yeah, I heard it was a pretty good game. I just couldn't get over the time stuff. So
yeah, and the resolution thing is not really an issue these days now. For anybody who didn't know, this game was one of the very first games that was targeted completely at an HD audience, mm-hmm. and it was so much so that it was aimed at an HD audience when not everybody had converted yet. So most people that bought it actually had SD televisions and couldn't read a lot of the dialogue that was happening in the game because it wasn't voiced.
Yeah, I remember I remember that also happened with, I think, the first Dragon Age game. Like, you just couldn't read the text.
Yeah, so nowadays, nobody should have any issues with it because they all have. It's hard to find an SD TV in a lot of instances.
I'm pretty sure there are people, just like how there are some people who took forever to get smartphones too.
Like me.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I got my smartphone in November of 2015.
I still have a CRT, but it's an HD CRT.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So, but I have one SD CRT left in the house, and it's in my parents' bedroom, and it's a small, tiny thing that they watch maybe for 15 minutes before they go to bed. Mm-hmm. So not worth anything really. But what else did I play? I played some arcadey kind of stuff. I played a little bit more of Raiden 5. It's Raiden. It's really good. I bought some more arcade classics on PSN. So this company Hamster is putting out some really great emulations of arcade games, and they're particularly putting out a lot of Konami games, and I'm a huge Konami fan. So I got Gradius 2, Life Force, Contra, and Twinbee, and I love Contra. Contra is like one of my favorite games, but I only really like the I like all the sequels and everything, but the original arcade versions of the first 2 games are not as good as the NES versions of those 2 games. It was definitely one of those games where they improved a lot, mostly because they improved the controls. Like, you're really floaty in the original version, in the arcade versions, and also you're playing on a vertical monitor for some stupid reason. So, like, you're moving left and right, but you are playing on a vertical monitor, so your reaction time is very, very limited. It's kind of like playing a Game Boy Mega Man game.
Oh,
like,
God.
yeah, it's really, and especially when there's two people on screen, it's ridiculous. But and they also added content to the NES version. So, but I still ran through the arcade version just to have something different to play in that series because I haven't played that one as much. I also bought a couple games which I wanted to talk about here. There was a Vita exclusive game that came out a little while ago called Severed. And
yeah, I remember you telling me about that game.
It's really cool, and then they came out with an iOS version a little bit later. But it's a first-person dungeon crawling game, but you use touch controls to do like the slashing and things like that. It's made by the Guacamelee people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they released a version of it for Wii U, and I was like, oh man, I'm all about that because it'll display on the screen, and I'll be able to use the touch screen. So I bought that version. Because it's on the Wii U now. And Noi to Love 2 actually got a Wii U release, so I was really happy about that.
I didn't even think that, maybe I just played the demo, but how long is that game?
It's pretty short.
Okay.
It's a pretty short game, but from what I understand, I haven't ran through it, but it's a really beautiful game made in the the style of treasure games, and it was typically played with a mouse, so I didn't expect it to ever get a console version, and so it's really cool to see on the Wii U because you could play it in a number of ways. You could use the touch screen, the Wii U, the tablet, or you can use a Wii mode setup. And that'll work really well. So I'm really excited to play that on a big screen and not use a mouse. So I was very happy to see that. I bought New Super Mario Bros. 2, which is the only Super Mario Bros. Game that I don't own until now. So
nice.
I also found this out that there were two promotional PlayStation only pinball tables for Pinball FX2, one based on Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and one based on Street Fighter. And I just found out that you could transfer them to your PS4 version, so I actually downloaded those. So I played a little bit of the Ninja Gaiden one. It's a really good table, so I was happy to play that. And that's pretty much it for this week, but Dead Rising was my big one. But now I actually wanted to weigh in. So here's the big moment and see if I I was a jerk and didn't do my job. I actually lost 5 pounds this week. So I weighed myself this morning, and I was down to 224 from 229 last week. So it's working. My social engineering of myself is working here. So I celebrated on Friday. I told myself,
right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Believe it or not, I this weekend I was still really good. It's actually one of those things that's like once you get in the mindset and you've done it for a little while, it's easier to keep on the path. So at least it is for me. So I fell into my habit of watching myself after a whole week of doing it, and so I told myself I wasn't going to drink it all during the week, and I didn't, which is good. But I was like, okay, I'm going to celebrate a little bit on Friday by having a celebratory drink. So I actually got this really nice blood orange liqueur that was delicious. It's called Solerno. And I just wanted to share that because it's really, really good. I had it with a little bit of ice.
Nice.
It was delicious. And I also was able to get some Japanese Yamazaki whiskey, but I haven't had a chance to drink any of that yet, which is really hard to find these days. So those are two favorites of mine, and I didn't drink too much. I didn't eat any junk food after I drank either. So I was pretty proud of myself this weekend. So even on the weekend, which I told myself I could do whatever I want, and I didn't stray from the path. Yeah. So I will keep weighing in. from here on out, and thank you very much as well for the support that in the comments that
we
we've
got
gotten.
A bunch of positive vibes in the comment section.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really want to thank our audience's support in my endeavor here, because anybody who knows that losing weight is not an easy thing. I equate it to any other bad habit like smoking or anything like that. It's partially a lot of it's psychological, and it's also chemical. I mean, my first couple days when I was like basically detoxing from eating junk food, like I was actually getting headaches.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, like, because my body's chemistry was reacting to being in another different normal state, you know. So I was pretty happy with my results, and I'll continue doing it. And this is another thing. I in the future I want to continue weighing in even when I get to my goal.
Nice.
Or just to make sure you maintain.
Yeah, that was a problem for me. I once I got to where I wanted, I kind of let myself go.
Well, yeah, that's another trick with dieting, because you're like, I got there, that means I'm done, but like you're never done.
I was able to keep off. Like I lost about 100 pounds back in college, and you knew me during that time period where I was losing a lot of weight.
Yeah,
and, I kept it off for quite a while. I did. It took me. This amount of time. It's almost been like what, 10 years?
It's been a while.
It's been eight years since then. So, since I lost all that weight, so it took a while for me to build it back up, and it was most of the gains were during particularly tough times. But I want to keep weighing in just to keep myself on track. So I really want to thank everybody for their assistance and their good vibes, because that means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. And anybody who derives some sort of help from this as well, maybe either to think about improving on something, maybe not necessarily weight. I would be very proud if I helped inspire that kind of thing. So. And I think, having said that, we can move on to some questions here. We have quite a lot now, and
yeah, we've got quite a build-up.
I really appreciate once again the feedback for that stuff, and continue sending in your questions. Please keep giving us good reviews, and I think this is the number one. Episode 12 is the number one viewed episode so far too, isn't it?
That's cool.
I think I saw somewhere near 270 views, which is awesome. That's really, really cool. So keep it spreading the word, guys, and we will be all over social media very soon. So you'll be able to share tweets and Facebook notifications very soon in order to share with your friends. That way you can spread the word as well.
Yeah. Now, before we get into questions, there's actually one little quick anecdote I wanted to give. Vyse,
yeah, sure.
Vyse, you heard this one when we were at Luminaire's place. This is for the benefit of Pyro and for the listeners. This is just something that might amuse you. While we were at Luminaire's just hanging out, I received an email. I was able to check it. This is amazing. I was able to check it on my phone, and it was like it had an email address that's like at the university I look at.
Oh, I saw this.
Oh, you actually saw this online?
I saw your Facebook post.
Okay. So yeah, basically what happened is I got an email address from like at the university I work. Like John Smith at Harvard.edu. That kind of thing. Like the university I work at, which is not Harvard. And so like I know it's not some spam bot or something. So it says like, "Dear me," like pretending my name is Mike or something. It's like, "Hi, Mike. We recently looked over your training progress and noticed you have not done your checkpoint yet. When is the next available time this week that you can meet? I would like us to meet before your scheduled evaluation shift on the 7th. Please respond as soon as you can. Thank you and have a great night." Now, there's one small problem with this. I don't have the slightest clue what this person is talking about. And do you know how scary that is?
And you're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Yeah, like, do you know how scary that is when it's talking about,
I'm sorry,
like,
guys, who am I letting down?
Yeah, like, this isn't even a case of, like, oh, geez, I forgot about the training. Like, I haven't heard of this, like, at all. So, what, training for what? You know, like, I'm not training. I'm teaching classes that I've taught before. Like, what is my training? And, like, your checkpoint, you haven't done your checkpoint. What is this? Where do I look it up? And, like, evaluation shift on the 7th? Are you freaking kidding me? Like, for what? This was, like, terrifying. So I responded to this person with, and this is a risky move, but I responded with, I'm afraid I don't know what training you're referring to. Like God help me, right? And I'm like, but I could still meet up with you at, such and such a time on such and such a day. So, like, okay, email sent. So 3 hours later, I get a response, and it was like, oh, hi, sorry, I sent this to the wrong mic, because, like, it was a group email, and it turns out the person was a student doing some group project or something. I'm like, oh my god, thank you. Like, that scared the living daylights out of me. So, yeah, funny story, that was it. It was just terrifying for, like, 3 hours.
Oh shit, what'd I do? Fuck.
Yeah, training, checkpoint, evaluation, oh god. Like, so, that was, Much Ado About Nothing. Hooray! All's well that ends well. I get to do what I've been doing and not have to pick up more time during my workday. Okay, so now we can get to actual questions. As usual, these questions are going to be asked in the order that I've received them. So School Filmer asks, have any of you heard of, seen, or played Xenoblade Chronicles? Heard of, yes. Played, no. I have the game, though. I was able to get it before it got stupidly expensive.
I played it, and I think I got most of the way through it, and then I just gave up. Because it's way too long. I know that a lot of people were saying it's a good game because it's like, oh, this is back to the days of good old JRPGs. And it was, but it was so wordy and annoying as hell. Like, it was basically a single-player MMO. The battle system was, you have, like, icons on the bottom of the screen, which are your different skills, and they have cooldowns. And basically, you just select you go into battle, you just select your skills, and you just keep selecting skills, and you have obviously a thing that you do, and that's all you can do. And then you have to there's like these quests you can do in the middle, like side quests, but they're just like picking up random items and enemies that drop them. It's not 100%, and sometimes it's very, very, very low percent. And it just. And I know I didn't have to do them, but I'm a bit of a completionist, so I wanted to.
Yeah, I would too.
So what I did is I think I got, like, let's say half to 2/3 of the way through the game, and I'm getting really bored, so I stopped and just watched the rest of the game on YouTube.
So this is one of those games that I was super hyped to get to America, that we got here in America, because this game, if anybody doesn't know, this game was the most wanted game for people that were watching Japanese games.
Well, actually, speaking of which, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like this is relevant. Like the reason, like we had found this website that showed us how to mod a Nintendo Wii to play foreign games, and it was like the person who created that tutorial did it specifically so we could play Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah, so like this game was a huge albatross. Like the most recent one that was kind of like that was Dragon Quest VII. Like people never thought that this game was ever going to be released here. It took 3 years, and almost no, basically no communication about it until about like 3 or 4 months ago when Nintendo said, "Oh yeah, it's coming out." So like, people were really nervous, especially because that version of Dragon Quest VII is vastly improved over the original version of it. So much so that it's probably a lot of people's favorite Dragon Quest game. So anyway, Xenoblade Chronicles was a game that I wanted so bad. I imported it when it came out in Europe, and modded my Wii specifically to play it when it came out in English. And I got through a little bit of it, And then finally we got the announcement out of the blue that Nintendo was going to release, and it was going to be a GameStop exclusive. So we got it just barely. And the game ended up selling tons of copies. Like, every GameStop sold out of it immediately.
Yeah, and then prices got bloated. And even now, I think GameStop sells it for, like, something like $60, which is standard price for a current-gen game. But Wii games never broke 50, so GameStop kind of broke their own rule. Like, I bought it back when it was 50.
So, luckily, Nintendo had some good thoughts about this one and knew about that. So what they ended up doing was they made it available on the Wii U. So you can download it as a Wii game on the Wii U.
That's super cool.
And so like I'm a big proponent of physical media in games still. However, I know when things are ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to pay $200 for a game that I can easily get for $20, and it's just a digital version.
I've mentioned the same thing on this podcast repeatedly with, like, Suikoden 2 and Misadventures of Tron Bonne. Like, I want the games, but for God's sake, you know, I'll pay the $15.
Yeah, and I'm really just happy that anybody can get it whenever they want right now. You know, you could sit down and say, hey, I want this now, and I'll buy it. And I think it's a fantastic game. I also have it for 3DS, and I found that I don't really like that version just because the frame rate's not very good. And you know, I thought I would like it because, you know, hey, it's a long game, I could play it on the go, but it just doesn't look good. It's kind of like Hyrule Warriors. It just doesn't look good enough for me
Hyrule Warriors
to
is
want to play it.
baffling to me, though. Like, I mean, I understand that you could sit in one place and play your 3DS, but, like, those campaigns take a while. You don't just play it for a second and pause. Like, you can in that game, but, like, that's not really how you play a Warriors game, you know? Like, you can save whenever you want, but, like, it'll be weird when you just reload it in the middle of mob wars.
Unfortunately, it just doesn't look very good. It just looks pretty crummy, and when most of the time when I'm playing video games at home anyway, I might as well just play the original version. So
yeah, would you rather play it on a bigger screen with better resolution and it just plays better? Sure, I'll do that. Thanks.
The other thing about the Xenoblade Chronicles is I heard the second one like improved upon the first one. Also, it added mechs just like Xenogears and the Xeno series. But
Saga.
After playing the first Xenoblade Chronicles, I couldn't get myself to play it again because I'm like, I don't want to sit through all this again, even though it's supposed to be such an improvement.
So,
I can't add it to my list.
Yeah. I mean, my problem is that there's a lot of RPGs I want to play, and it's like they're all long, so it's like any one of them is intimidating. So it's like I don't want to start this one or that one, and it ends up that I just don't play any of them, and I play something for my Let's Play or whatever. Like even Demon's Souls was like I really had to like work up my not courage, but I guess like just like really impetus to go ahead and play through it.
So I actually really like this game. I love playing it, and I love the mechanics and everything about it. However, it's one of those games that's really hard for me specifically to play. I am very nervous about not doing everything right the first time around.
Yeah.
And so this game has a lot of like social links and things like that in it that you can easily miss.
And not even
and things
like I know what you're talking about. Lots of people you can talk to that are important.
I would just bury myself in a guide for it, just like Demon's Souls. I have no problem doing that.
There's also a collecting aspect to it too. Like you need to collect. You don't need to, but you could check off all these boxes where you're collecting all the unique items in an area. There's like a lot of really cool things to do. There's a lot of side quests, and I get all up in that. Like I love doing side quests. I love doing stuff like that. And as a result, I don't go very far because like there's tons of content just sticking around in the first area. There's like tons of stuff to do. You can easily spend 20 hours in that first area alone, just doing everything that comes at you. And it's a lot of fun. I actually just only got past the first dungeon, and that's not far in the game at all. But I have done tons of things in the game. I think I've played like 15 hours of the game so far, and you don't have to do nearly any of the stuff that I did. But I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of doing it. But I'm going to be playing that game very periodically. It's one of my favorite RPGs already. I really like it, and I'll be continuing with it. It's just just like with anything else, I play it in short bursts. So I will be playing that in its sequel. I have them. I just need to get to them. So I'm really excited that we were able to get that game. And also, Operation Rainfall is a website that I go to every single day, and that website was started basically because of this game and 2 other games.
Oh, really?
Pandora's Tower and
The Last Story.
And
Project Rainfall, unofficially titled Project Rainfall.
Yeah, so all 3 of those games actually made it to the United States,
and they all happened to be for the Wii too.
They happened to be for the Wii, and they helped rise up the community enough where they begged everybody to bring those out.
Yeah, actually, speaking of which, by the way, I heard that I don't know what you guys think of it personally in this regard, but I had heard on the internet around when they came out that Xenoblade Chronicles kind of put JRPGs back on the map for Westerners again, because we had kind of fallen off of that for a while.
Yeah.
I think JRPGs had gotten a certain attitude that we just didn't really like so much as like the way we used to, and apparently Xenoblade kind of brought the genre back into relevance for us over in I don't know about Europe, but probably, and the States.
I would certainly say that in terms of traditional RPGs, we were still getting a really good resurgence of things like Etrian Odyssey was a great resurgence of the first person dungeon crawler, and we were getting those on 3DS and on the original DS. We were getting a lot of really good portable output from Japan, but we were barely getting any Japanese decent RPGs around that time.
Yeah, I can't even think of many, like Star Ocean 4?
Well, I'm trying to think, like, most of the Japanese RPGs of that time are either lackluster or you don't even remember them.
Yeah.
Or they're universally panned. There's a couple that I really like from that era, particularly what's that Tri-Ace one that I really love? The one with the guns. Resonance of Fate. I love that game.
That game also turned people off, like, if they played it only for a little while, because
that
combat system is ridiculous. Like, once you learn how it works, it's very satisfying, but if you just... I was thinking guns shoot bullets hurt things, but that's not quite how it works in Resonance of Fate.
Yeah, like, that game in particular got a lot of love after... years after that game was released, after people gave it a shot.
They should put that on PS4, PSN if they haven't already. That game.
I would love a PC version of that with like really beautiful graphics, because the designs in that game are really nice.
And by the way, this is kind of out of left field here, but one of the main characters of the game, Vashiran, like the kind of like veteran of the group, is voiced by Nolan North.
I know, it's great.
But the reason I bring this up is that it's a very rare, like, muted, subtle performance for him. He's not Deadpooling
it's a good
it up.
He's
not
performance
Nathan
of him
Draking
too.
it up. He's very straight in that game, which is kind of refreshing.
I really like his character, and it's also like an actual adult in a Japanese thing. So
yeah, I know. God forbid you play as a character who's not like in high school.
Nier, you play as like somebody in his 40s essentially.
Well,
so like, what the hell?
And same goes for Yakuza.
That's true.
Same goes for Yakuza. Like, the first thing you do in Yakuza is go to jail for a decade, and you come back and you don't know what cell phones are, and everyone you fight is like some 20-something or younger street tough, and they're like, "Hey, old man," and you beat the crap out of them. It's great.
Yeah. So like. Just so like to give people context, I think what it was like Final Fantasy 13 was out at that point, and that game has since gotten a lot more love, I think, than it did when it came out.
Yeah.
And especially with the sequels, because the sequels build upon like the really awesome late game battle system stuff that the first one had.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of fan outcry because it's such like an overly produced game that like and people just wanted to have fun from the very beginning, and it just it has that like almost Led Zeppelin like thing where like towards the end of Led Zeppelin's like career, since they were together, they got so artistic that they lost people. You know what I mean? Like they got into these like really deep drum solos and stuff, and people just didn't want to listen to it anymore. And so I feel like in a lot of ways, like Square Enix is up their own butts about a lot of different things. And so a lot of Japanese companies were also going out of business at that time. That was like around the 2008 era. So like a lot of Japanese companies that were like producing like one game every few years and getting like a decent amount of sales, we're starting to go to under. So there were not many JRPGs in that time period. You had Lost Odyssey, which is almost universally ignored, even though it's a fantastic game.
That's a game that people like I have trouble remembering that it exists. Wasn't that one of those rare games? It was for the 360 and it was like 4 discs.
The thing is, it was a really good game, but it was way too wordy. I played it and got to to like the middle of disc 2 or something, and I had to put it down for a while because I wanted to read all the short stories that you unlock in the game.
Okay.
But it kind of detracted from the game itself. Like, they didn't really have much to do. If they did, but not really much to do with the actual story. So I felt like it kind of took away from the game in a way. Like, they're much better, done if you read them all at the end of the game, or, after you've beaten the game. Because then it's, you're on a constant high when you're playing games, and that just, took away, deflated the adrenaline rush from playing the game. But when I played the game, it was actually really good, and I actually really enjoyed when I actually went back to it and said, you know what, I'm not going to read any of the short stories. It was a really fun game, and I really recommend it now after playing it.
And now's a perfect time for people to get back into that game because it just became backwards compatible on the Xbox One.
Oh, nice.
So this game, to give people context of that, was made by the original Final Fantasy people. They ended up making Blue Dragon together. They're Mistwalker.
With the greatest boss theme ever.
But then they made this as a follow-up to Blue Dragon, and this game is even better than Blue Dragon is. And then they ended up making The Last Story after that.
They made a phone game too.
So they're a great, classically trained, Japanese RPG studio that made good stuff during that era. But that game was universally ignored because a lot of the JRPG fans didn't have Xbox 360s; they had PS3s. So the stuff that they were getting during that era was, like you were saying, few and far in between. There were only a couple really good JRPGs. Tales of Vesperia was one of them.
Yeah, the Tales of stayed relevant in the States.
But that was a 360 game exclusive as well.
It was, but Tales became relevant in the States, I think, particularly relevant when GameCube put Symphonia on the map.
Yeah, so...
Or I should say when Symphonia put Tales on the map.
Yeah, there was just a lot of experimental stuff too. There was a lot of weird Tri-Ace games like Last Remnant and things like that. So there hadn't been a really good JRPG that was really a hit since Final Fantasy 12. Just to give you a hint of the kind of era that we were in. So Xenoblade, in many ways, is kind of like a spiritual successor to Final Fantasy 12, and it's made by a lot of the same people. And it has a very similar fighting
it's also
battle system.
That is offline.
Exactly. So, and now that Final Fantasy 12 is being remade, I'm happy to see that as well. So,
yeah, that has some amazing creature designs. I remember the summons were insane, and it was kind of refreshing because they weren't all the same summons we've seen in every Final Fantasy game. It is cool to see different iterations of those characters, but FF12 summons were freaking ridiculous. Some of those were terrifying. Cuculane, Like, it was awful.
So, yeah, we answered that question.
Yeah. All right,
Let's move on.
I think we have time for 2 more.
Yeah.
Because we're getting toward the end, but these next 2 I think are on the short side. The first one is from Stories Dreamer. Since you're all Let's Players, I want to ask a thing about my experience, like the asker's experience as a Let's Player. Did you get stress? I did the LP thing for 6 months before. I stopped totally. I have a day job, and at some point all these editing and video managing gets to me, and I felt the affecting my day job, so I stopped. But you're the only Let's Players I know that have a day job, so with all these extra work affect you, and so... Yeah, like, is there much stress regarding Let's Playing? I mean,
Lotus, you could take this one away.
Yeah, like you guys haven't recorded this stuff yourselves and edited it or anything, but I don't know, do you ever feel it? I mean, I'd imagine with my nagging, maybe Vyse you felt some, and Pyro with some of just the, here we go again, with the extra school mode stuff, you might have felt some a little bit, maybe. Like, it becomes an obligation, let's meet every week and do this recording. It's like, alright.
This is one of those things where I haven't started doing my own LPs yet, but I plan to. I really like doing co-op ones just because I'm a social person, and I really like doing it with other people just because I have somebody to play off of, kind of thing.
Not to mention, co-op kind of opens the games you're allowed to Let's Play. Because, like, Golden Axe, really, what are you going to talk about after, like, the first level? Like, so with us, we talked about whatever the hell, and it worked.
Yeah, I really like beat-em-ups. I'm never going to probably do a beat-em-up by myself, unless it's, a one-player beat-em-up.
As they are, just, what are you going to do? I'm beating up Galcia again.
Yeah, I mean, Contra, that I'm going to do by myself because the games like that are actually harder.
That's quick, and you actually have stuff to talk about because it's varied enough.
Yeah, and those games get harder with a second person. So,
that's true, yeah.
In fact...
although I guess theoretically you could have a buddy just sitting there and co-talking.
Well, you could do that too.
That's how we did it for Police Nuts and Danganronpa. We weren't both playing
and a Bobo.
Yeah.
And a Bobo. Well, that is true, yeah. Only one of us at a time was playing that one.
So, but I guess what I'm going to say is that I'm already feeling the stress before I even do it.
Yeah, I kind of same thing. I haven't done many Let's Plays by myself. I've only done them with you, Lotus Prince, but I've been thinking, like, I want to start some, maybe. I don't know what I'd do, but then I feel like, when am I going to have time to do it?
Well, here's the thing. This is where I come in, right? Because I've been Let's Playing.
This is you know this very, very well.
Regarding stress, it's not necessarily stress. Like the stress is kind of self-imposed because I could upload my stuff whenever the hell I feel like it. But honestly, it's better for my audience and it's better for me if I have a schedule. If I put up part 1 of a Let's Play today and part 2 like in 3 days or whatever, it'll be easier for me to do, but I won't really have as much of an impetus to keep doing it. Like, I gotta keep doing it. And the audience will be like, well, when's it gonna show up? I don't even know. And, like, they might kind of fall off for a while. So I try to put my stuff up every day, which admittedly is more often than a lot of people do it. But here's the thing. There is the need to get it done. Like, when I'm between Let's Plays, I don't want to go for too long without having one up, because, like, you start to lose your relevance. So I want to have something ready. Now, with, like, Demon Souls and Danganronpa, I completely finished those Let's Plays before I started uploading them. Especially Danganronpa, because, how often do you get to meet with your co-op buddy? We don't necessarily, like, you're not necessarily free at all the same times I'm free, so I didn't want to necessarily get to a point where we caught up with ourselves, and then it's like, oh, geez, I gotta find the time to meet Pyro so I can record a little more. Like, I didn't want to do that. Now, I could theoretically do that with Let's Plays I'm doing myself, and I have done that before, where I'm like 3 episodes ahead, and I record 1 or 2 a night, and edit them that night. But there have been times. There was one time, I think during Killer is Dead, where I did catch up to myself, because I had too much grading to do. Like, real life takes priority, just like Stories Dreamer was saying. Like, you gotta do your job first. That's why I haven't been, like, that's why Demon Souls is, I recorded Demon Souls a while ago. Like, I don't have anything recorded recently. I have a single installment of something. Like, I don't have just another Let's Play, like, ready to go, because I've been doing my job. So the problem is, once I get through Demon Souls, I'm going to have to start recording more and stuff like that. And during Killer is Dead, I did catch up to myself, and I'm like, give me a little while to record something else. The thing is, on top of recording, you gotta import the files into your editing program, and there should not be much editing to do. If you do it perfectly right, then you could just sync your audio and video and hopefully have nothing to cut out and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to wait for it to render. You have to upload it to YouTube or wherever you upload it to. You have to wait for it to upload. So, like, I'm not recording while I am editing or rendering. Like, I have to make the Let's Plays into things that I can put online. So when I'm doing, like, I can only do one thing at a time. So that's the whole thing. So, like, I have time to play something now, but I can't because I'm just sitting there waiting for it to render. Mm-hmm. So there's just more time taken up with stuff that's not what you're doing. If you have, like, 2 computers or something, I mean, buy another computer, great, just spend hundreds of more dollars on that. But, like, theoretically, you could have one computer rendering and the other you could record on, but, like, my God, seriously? so there's that.
My thing is that I have big dreams about a lot of the things that I want to do, and I have big plans. You know, like I want to play all these different games. I want to play all the Metroid games. You know,
well, that's another thing. What do I play next? There's a million things to play. Shouldn't you be doing the sequel? Yes, I should. I know. I'm sorry. Like,
But I'm this way about everything. Anybody who knows me really well knows. You guys know me really well that I'm, like, constantly working at myself in one way or another. Like, I was just getting my second master's degree. You know, I'm now losing weight and also, you know, trying to build Corrective Consciousness, mm-hmm. and also starting a new job all at once. So I'm somebody who works at themselves constantly. I'm an overanalyzer. I analyze myself more than anything. So I'm pretty intense in that regard, and I'm also really big about keeping in contact with my friends. So I sometimes make myself exhausted in doing all these things, and so adding another thing into my schedule, especially when I'm at a brand new job and I'm getting used to a fluctuating schedule with that. Mm-hmm. I'm like off and on working, just to give you an idea, from 9 until 6 on some days, and then the next day I'll be working from 11 until 8. And then the next day I'll be working from 9 until 6 again. And back and forth like that, and I'm working every other Saturday as well. So I'm getting overtime for all this. Don't think I'm being abused at work or whatever. But it's intense at work. You know, I'm a person that I'm a salesperson, just to be general. So I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself there, mm-hmm. in order to succeed and to make money.
Being a teacher and talking to people all the time can get
you guys have to be essentially like a stand-up comic, but you don't have to be funny. You know what I mean? You have to be in front of a whole bunch of people. You need to have material.
Actually,
and
speaking of which,
you need to react to the crowd that you're dealing with.
Speaking of which, it is a genuine shame, because you know how much we all love our stupid jokes. But like
our jokes aren't stupid.
You keep telling yourself that. But like the problem is, like, I could be funny at my job, but the thing is, like, I've tutored, like, middle school students.
It's not the place for it.
I have no problem being casual. Yeah, but that's the thing. At the university, I just get into a different mindset, number one. And number two, the classes I'm teaching this semester are English language learners, so puns are just not going to happen. Like,
yeah, even sarcasm is like...
Even sarcasm is a bit weird.
It's a tough thing.
Like, it's better spoken out loud than written, but, like, pun jokes are, like, not 100% going to fall flat, but, like, very likely.
Yeah, so when I'm at work, I'm extremely straight-laced, and I'm a lighthearted person outside of work. You know, I joke around a lot of time. In fact, I joke around when I shouldn't a lot of times. Mm-hmm. But when I'm at work, I'm super serious. I'm the most serious person in the room.
Yeah, you gotta
be. Everybody else around me might be enjoying, like, a dirty joke, but I know.
I don't want to risk that. I don't want my boss to walk in while I'm saying some stupid, like, dirty joke or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even want to be around people saying it.
That's the
because
thing. Like,
I don't want to be associated with
yeah,
it.
like I've had students try to friend me on Facebook, and I'm flattered, and I'm like, come back in 4 years when you graduate. Like
Yeah.
I gotta maintain that professional distance, especially even if there's no trouble. Like, you can be friendly, but you do not want to be a student's friend. Like, it's just a bad idea.
It's a bad idea. And but and you teach adults, like, and that's still not
Close enough, but yeah, they're the students on the teacher. Like, we're not doing this.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you know, I always wear a suit at work. I spend a lot of my day on the phone.
I don't care. I'll wear whatever the hell. I don't care.
yeah, but like I'm just telling you what kind of person I am at work.
Yeah.
I'm the only person in the entire floor that wears a suit, and I'm also like brand new. But this is what keeps me in the mindset that I need to in order to succeed.
Yeah.
And just to give you an idea, I'm like winning a contest that I've been entered in to produce the most amount of a certain thing, and I've quadrupled the person who's behind me.
You're making widgets, aren't you?
I
was
making
going to say
widgets.
making bad jokes.
I take my jobs very seriously, and I'm very driven, and that's probably what makes me a good salesperson. Also the social aspect. You know, I'm very good with that kind of thing. But so, getting back to my original point, I put it upon myself to make a really, really good product. And I want something to be original, and also I don't want to be one of those annoying Let's Players either. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to be somebody that is unique enough that people want to come and see it and also enjoy it. And so therefore, I even do put a lot of pressure on myself when I'm editing and things like that. And so as being that as it is, I had a really hard time starting the podcast up. Yeah. I had been talking about it for a long time.
Oh yeah, since college and probably before that.
I had been talking about it for a long time, and I've owned the domain for a long time, and the name of the project for a long time, and it's gone through a couple different iterations. In fact, I still have old MP3 files of me and a different friend starting this up.
Yeah, and I still have the old MP3s of you and me when we recorded our first podcast that never went up. It was like, we recorded one and then nothing came of it, so I still have them.
So I've gotten better.
Episode 0 or something.
I've gotten better over time in not getting lost in the weeds as much. Mm. So I'll move forward with a project, and you guys are really good in that you are also very detailed oriented, but you also want to move forward.
By the way, actually, I do want to throw out one thing. You had mentioned you don't want to be, not well received or whatever. You want to get your thing right. Here's the thing. You might know this, but I'll say it anyway.
Sure.
You will find your audience, and your audience will find you. When I first started uploading, it was actually... I said last week I'm on the site channelawesome.com. It used to be thatguywiththeglasses.com, and I used to upload to Blip. Blip.tv, which no longer is a thing. And nobody went to Blip like YouTube. Like, nobody typed in Blip.tv and went to search. Like, nobody really did that. People only really watched Blip via embeds. So I had embedded my videos in, like, the blog section of That Guy with the Glasses. So people found me there, and they were like, okay, this is a thing I can get behind. I didn't have, like, a bunch of randos, Like, at the very least, even if everyone wasn't into Let's Plays, we all went to the same site because we like the same kind of entertainment. So,
sure.
Okay, I was kind of well received. And when I went to YouTube, people knew who I was already, so I didn't have much of this, like, who is this guy thing going on. But I will say this. When I first got accepted to what was then known as thatguywiththeglasses.com, there were already several Let's Players, and that site is primarily comedy. It's more diverse now, but it's still primarily comedy. I mean, whatever you're reviewing, who knows? It could be anything. There's comic books, movies, music, video game. But, like, usually there's a funny angle to it, and my Let's Plays are typically not funny. Like, I'll drop the occasional joke or pun, like, if I find an excuse to, but I'm not a comedian. on my channel at all. And so when I first got featured there, it was like, hey, we got a new member of the team or whatever. It's this Lotus Prince. It's Eternal Darkness. Here you go. And there were, like, of course that was the most comments I'd ever gotten at that point, because I was on the main page at that point. But a lot of the comments were like, oh, what's this guy doing? He's not funny. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be funny. And so, like eventually the audience kind of, like, sorts itself out. You know, you're not going to keep having people that don't like you, but, like, don't expect to be liked by everybody the first time.
Yeah, and I know that very well. It's just one of those things that's in the back of my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the front of my head, it's telling me you should just do it anyway. Who gives a shit?
Well,
you know?
That's the big thing. Is, like, don't try doing what you think people will like. Be natural so you don't have to constantly act. And the people who happen to like what you do, they'll stick with you.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right, and that is what I've been telling myself. But I have to constantly remind myself of that.
And
it's just
thing,
like a natural thing.
One more thing, although I'm sure you know this already because you effectively just pretty much said it, but, like, do not do this at all for the purpose of being popular or getting views or whatever. Like, do it because you like to do it. Because if you don't, like, even if you do get popular, if you hate what you're doing, then what are you doing? You know?
No,
like,
this is something that I want to do in order to be creative in my time off of work.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, not everybody starts a YouTube channel and gets, like, 1 billion subscribers overnight. How long have I been going with, like, 50 subscribers or whatever? I was like, I don't care. Like, eventually more people will find me, I guess. And if they like me, they like me. Great. If they don't, they don't. And, like, process of elimination.
Yeah, you have to have fun while you're doing it, not just do it.
Because, like, again, I'm still coming from this particular perspective because I've been following these guys since, like, 2000, like since college, somewhere in the middle of college. So I've been following Channel Awesome for a long ass time. But, like, a lot of people, like, started YouTube channels because they wanted to get on Channel Awesome, and it's like, dude, can you keep pumping that shit out, like, every week, every 2 weeks? You know, like, you better actually want to do this.
Yeah, I mean, my plans were never to get, like, popular or even make money off of it, really. You know, there's a reason I still have a day job.
my
whole purpose of this was that I wanted to share my gaming knowledge and my insight with this kind of thing, and also find other people that had you know, the same leanings, because I love talking to other you know, people that are experts of things. I just find them fascinating.
It is really cool, so, even if it was something you didn't think you'd care about.
Exactly.
Like, I remember, I think you were in the car with me for this, but one of our friends had, like, when we go traveling to cons that are, like, that the trips are several hours long, I usually bring music CDs. Yes, CDs, I know, shut up. But this friend of ours usually brings podcasts because they take up a lot of time and they're fascinating to listen to. And I remember he had a podcast where people discussed, like, I think it was, I forgot if it was taxing in general or if it was income
the tax system.
Or if it was income tax. It was one of those, it was either tax in general or it was income tax, but, like, it was genuinely interesting, and I never thought that would have been. And I was just like, I was like,
that was the how stuff works.
That was what it was.
Podcast.
Because it's one of those
things.
Or
stuff you should know. I'm sorry.
That's
stuff
what it
you
was.
should know.
Because it's one of those things where, like, there's a lot of stuff that I don't think I'm interested in. But at this point, like, I've known my friends and they've known me for a long enough time that if they tell me to watch or listen to something, I'll trust their judgment because they usually know what I would probably be into. And yeah, like, sure enough, I was fascinated the whole way through. Like, the same goes for, like, even stuff like anime or whatever. Like, there's our friend Mr. Ryu45. He watches a ton of stuff that I wouldn't go anywhere near, but he knows what I like. So when he recommends something, I know that I'm gonna have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, doing this podcast is absolutely no stress on me at all. And even though I prep for it...
minimal stress on me. Like, we're just talking.
Even though I prep for it, and even though it takes up, 2 hours of my Sunday night every week, it's our release schedule is on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
But this is no stress for me. But there was a lot of stress leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
So once I build something into my schedule, it's like breathing, because This
that's exactly how I am.
We the whole point of this podcast anyway was to express ourselves and talk about whatever we wanted, but with a little bit of structure to get us going.
Sure.
And this is all us off the cuff. This is all improv, pretty much.
No, I wrote down everything that I was gonna say.
Yeah. Like he just he's literally been reading off of the script.
So
even what I'm saying right now, I wrote down.
You're a very good planner.
We have beats, that we have to hit, but in the long run, it largely the entertaining part is what we come up with, and so I love doing this, and that's what I want to do with the YouTube stuff that I want to do. Another intimidating thing is that I need to learn how to use my my equipment. Like I have an Elgato. I have an Elgato, and
the good news is there's almost nothing to learn with that. Like
but I still need to get used to it.
I could even show you next time I come over if like it's simple enough, but if you want me to like just walk you through it, like it's delightfully straightforward.
Yeah, no, I know that it. Like, even if I just plugged it in, I would be okay with it. It's the thought. Yeah. It's the thought of having to learn and get used to something.
I know what you mean. It's the same exact thing for me with the FrameMeister. Like, I'm sure I plug it in, I download those files you sent me to like put it in an SD card and put it in and just go. But I'm like, but I have to bring it downstairs and plug it in. Like just change of any kind, even though it's like the easiest thing in the world. I'm like,
exactly.
What do I do?
Exactly. So, to answer the broader question is, a lot of the anxiety comes from the unknown, and also from changes in structure and things like that. So, once it all clicks, it's like breathing. It's like riding a bike, or just doing something effortlessly. I love doing this podcast because it's just hanging out with my friends. Mm-hmm. This is like I already do this with you, and we're just sharing it.
Honestly, even the Let's Play, like the Shut Up and Jam guidance stuff, we talked about this during the actual Let's Play, but we had gotten together with it was Vyse, you and me, and this one other guy we had known in college, and we had played a little bit of the game at your place, and we were doing the voices for the game and talking through it and anything, and there was no audience. Like that's just what we did.
We were having fun.
Yeah.
Just play acting.
We basically just put that on camera and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think the pressure only comes from things that are perceived. It's all internal.
Yeah, with me the pressure is with me the pressure is basically self-induced. It's just like how I am for my grading for my students. I tell them I'll get it back on Tuesday. Could I get it back to them on Wednesday? I could, but like, geez, I really got to get it done on Tuesday now. Like that kind of thing.
A little, and I should say that a little bit of pressure and a little bit of stress is a good thing. It helps you move forward.
Well, that's the whole thing. If I didn't put pressure on myself, it's like I said at the beginning, then like I'll upload whenever I feel like it. Who knows when that's going to be? Like that's honestly how I get between Let's Plays. Like I've woken up one day and realized, oh my god, it's been like 2 weeks of nothing. So like I mean like even between JoJo Eyes of Heaven and Demon Souls, there was a stretch of nothing. Like, I occupied it with, like, little bits. Like, I put up that X-Men video that was, like, 5 minutes long or whatever. I'm like, see, I'm putting something up, but I didn't have a Let's Play going on for a couple weeks, and I'm like, I really should do that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to one more question.
One more. And this one
I know we expound upon a lot of simple questions, but I think people like it.
Well, here's the thing, speaking of. This is a very simple question, but, it has the risk of a lot of expounding. So here we go. The question sounds innocent enough, but get ready.
Sure.
It's a two-part question, but the second part is absolutely simple. So C. Barry asks, what's your favorite RPG? Straight up. Possibly one game that's more recent, and then a classic retro game. Vyse, okay. I think I might know what you like.
Well,
what is VyseTheBold like?
Yeah, we've already really talked about this, but
I'm pretty sure everyone knows my answer too.
Yeah,
well, actually, which one? Which SMT game or which Mega 10 game?
That's actually, if I had to pick one, it's probably gonna be Persona 4 right now.
Okay.
But the more I play Apocalypse, the more I enjoy that one.
It's that good, huh?
Well, it's more because it has, like, I like Persona because of the linear story and the, let's put it this way. I like Persona 4 because of the story, but I like the gameplay and the intricacies of the core series, and they just build upon it every game. So that's why I would say Apocalypse is probably my favorite.
Okay. Do you happen to have a classic one you like, or like may or may not be SMT?
I will tell a truth that I probably have never told anyone before.
Ooh.
But I've actually never played Shin Megami Tensei 1 or 2.
That's not even that big of a deal though, because
I
like
haven't beaten either of them.
Those are fan translated games.
Yeah,
so.
like those are on the Super Famicom and the regular Famicom. Like, of course you haven't played them unless you sought out the ROMs.
In terms of a classic, I guess if we're talking about Mega 10, Persona 2, because that was my first Persona game.
Okay, for like the PS1.
For Persona PS1, yeah, I think it was PS1.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
PS1.
they made it better for PSP, but like
Eternal Punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no. Eternal Punishment was only remade in Japan. It never came out here.
But yeah, Eternal
it was
Punishment.
Innocent Sin.
No, Eternal Punishment was the one that came out here first in Persona.
Oh,
Yeah, it came out on PS1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
and then Innocent Sin in America only came out on Vita or PSP.
Yeah, PSP.
But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So I think that would be it. If we're talking about like general RPGs, I don't know what my favorite would be, but it's probably something. Oh, Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, I was gonna go there myself.
Yeah, even when we were kids, you loved it.
Yep.
Even what'd you say?
I stole it from you.
Well, no, I heard that.
Yeah.
But what did I say?
Pyro loved that game when we were growing up. He had the like the strategy guide from Nintendo Power and used to bring it into school with him, and we used to look at it all the time and just be like, oh man, that's Smithy. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was friends with, like, I happened to know, like, the rich kid when I was in, like, elementary, middle school, so he had, like, all the game systems at the time, and so, like he was actually pretty cool with the video games. Like, I would come over to his place, and he would just, like, have me play, like, these long games, like Link to the Past and, like, Mario RPG. So my first experience with Mario RPG was in middle school at this kid's place. So that game really stuck on me. Now, I also have a soft spot for Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. There's no way that I would say it's genuinely, like, a favorite RPG, but, like, I'd play that again. But Super Mario RPG is absolutely, I think, my favorite classic one. I might have leaned more on the Chrono Trigger direction if I'd really played it back then, but I didn't. So I'm going to go Super Mario RPG. For current, or for at least for newer RPGs, it's actually genuinely tough. There is Skies of Arcadia, which is freaking incredible. I have that on the GameCube. And more recently, I've played Valkyria Chronicles. I played the PS3 version. That game is freaking magical. Like, that story is like, the gameplay is more frustrating. In Skies of Arcadia, it's standard turn-based combat. You hit the dude. It's like regular Final Fantasy style combat. Valkyria Chronicles plays differently. It's like Advance Wars if you could run around during the opponent's turns, and like there's 3D terrain and everything. So that the gameplay is definitely different in that regard, but the story is just so good. So I'm gonna go with Skies of Arcadia / Valkyria Chronicles for my newer one, and Super Mario RPG for my older one.
Okay.
So I would actually say that Skies of Arcadia would be my old one, because as far as that's the era when I started playing RPGs. Mm-hmm. So I would say that's my old favorite. If I had to pick, like an 8-bit one, I would say Phantasy Star, even though I haven't gotten all the way through it. I really like those. It. But if I'm gonna pick a 16-bit one, I still really love Super Mario RPG, just like you guys are saying. But
sad we haven't gotten a sequel.
Mother 3 is my favorite RPG.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Mother 3 is way up there.
I love,
honestly.
Skies of
Yes.
Skies of Arcadia is my nostalgia piece. It's eating grilled cheese and on a cold day. It's just one of the. It's not a guilty pleasure or anything like that, but it's like going back home to when you were a kid. You know what I mean? Skies of Arcadia is genuinely good and it deserves all of that, but it's also holds a place in my heart. But if I genuinely have to pick the best RPG that I've ever played, without nostalgia goggles or anything like that, it's Mother 3. And
that's an emotional roller coaster, man.
One of the probably the only game to ever make me cry. And
I've had a few.
Did you beat it?
I did.
That last boss made me cry.
Oh yes, yeah, that made me cry.
Vyse said that too, but for me, it was more like, oh man, really? For me, it was the prologue. Prologue hit me like a freaking.
Oh
truck.
yeah,
it was more the realization at the end who you were fighting the whole time. I was just oh my God.
I know, but the prologue, man, that freaking.
It has some moments in it that throughout that are just oh man, this is rough, and you're doing this on a little GBA screen,
Yeah.
If I have to pick a modern one, that's really recent, that's tough because I tend to get stuck in my backlog with RPGs, but
yeah.
If I'm gonna have to pick one, I would probably. What's an RPG? A lot these days. A lot of the genres have blended, so it's a little tough for me to.
Yeah, if you want to cheat, I could say the original Deus Ex. The game's god tier.
Yeah, that's not my favorite. I would actually say in modern times. The Mass Effect series, but they become more action games towards the end.
I'm
so
not a huge fan of the Mass Effect games, to be honest.
I'm a huge fan of them, and I love those games. But if I'm gonna pick a straight RPG, I'm probably gonna have to go with Nier is also kind of like Zelda, so I don't. Nier is a fantastic game too, so
get on that.
Yeah, there's a lot to like, and also Xenoblade Chronicles, but I haven't gotten to the end of the game, so I'm not gonna claim that one. But I just named a few. It's hard to pick.
Now,
it's hard to pick.
Now the second part of this question, as I said, it was a two-parter, but the second part is the much simpler part. If you're planning on doing a Let's Play on, are you planning on doing a Let's Play on any of those games, or maybe hint at the next RPG you'll do an LP of? Would either of you guys consider LPing RPGs?
I've thought about it, and knowing how I play RPGs, probably never. Only because I try to do everything, and I know that I could play everything and just cut out parts, be like,
yeah, it depends on the RPG.
Welcome back. I've leveled up, and here's my new characters. Here's what I've done.
Yeah, you could do that with Demon Souls, but some stuff where there's just so much stuff everywhere that you're never gonna get it done.
But it's more, even if I didn't do any of the side stuff and just did the story, knowing that most RPGs are 40, 50 hours, knowing there's that commitment ahead of me, I probably would never do it. I'd probably prefer to discuss games like I do here. And
you could
if
find
we had
shorter...
a spoiler cast. Yeah, if we had a spoiler cast, let's say, and I could talk about the whole story and what I liked, I could sum up maybe what I enjoy about it in an hour or two.
You could also do shorter RPGs, because I actually said a long time ago that I would, people have asked me about Parasite Eve, and I said, no, I'm not doing it, it's an RPG. And then one day I was actually you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I got through it in something really surprisingly short, 12 or 14 parts or something, because it was kind of a bite-sized, very linear story RPG. So you might be able to get away with some of them. The Persona games, God help you. But
the other thing is too, if I did an RPG, it would have to be a game that I've already played, so I know what to do. But then even then, I'll be I already played the game. I wouldn't necessarily want to Let's Play it and play it again. There are very few games that I play more than once.
No, I gotcha.
So if I were to pick a game to LP, it would probably be a Metroidvania or an indie game that not necessarily even beat, just show off kind of thing.
Sure.
So I would love to let's play a game, an RPG, like even especially a Mega 10 game, but I don't think I could live up to the commitment.
Yeah, the sheer commitment. It's a lot.
I think I could do the Mother games, because they're not particularly super long. So I would like to do those, and I would like to do the Mario RPG games, like all of them.
I love Mario. Oh my god!
So I would do the Mario and Luigi games, and I would do the Paper Mario games. You could play those in a reasonable amount of time. All of those.
Yeah.
And let me just there are certain games that I probably won't touch, though. I mean, like, Dragon Quest games can take like 80 hours. I'm not going to play a Dragon Quest game on the air for 80 hours.
That's something you'd be better off streaming if you wanted to show that.
Yeah, I would stream that. That would be fun, because a lot of that dead airspace will be taken up by people chatting and being goofy. Yeah.
So how was your day
and just
today?
Having a good time. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people do that with like Pokemon and stuff like that. That's a great time. I don't mind doing that. In fact, I've thought about doing those, but I'm just trying to think. I would probably do some of the early the 16-bit Final Fantasy games, like 4, 5, and 6 would be okay to do an LP
are
of.
not stupidly long. They have grinding, but they're not like games today.
Phantasy Star, those 4 games.
RPG ones?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 1 through 4.
The Shining games, I would do those before they got stupid.
I wouldn't mind doing those myself.
So, it just depends. I mean, like Dragon Quest games are like 100-hour games. I'm not gonna. Like I would stream those. Mega 10 games are also 100-hour games. Like those games, though, I feel like you get more out of them than the Dragon Quest games, because they have so many cool enemies and stuff.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, once you've seen one Mega 10 game, you've seen all the enemies.
Oh, really?
They might change from like 2D to 3D. They might change some of them a little bit, but they're mostly the same.
But like Xenoblade, I could get lost in that game just forever. So
Are you talking back to when I stopped playing Xenoblade? I was playing it for like 100 hours already, and it was already only halfway through the game.
Oh my god.
So if I was going to play these games, it would be just mainlining all of the stuff and not really doing the side stuff unless it helped me build up to a certain level that I need to be at.
It would kind of be like maybe I would play the main game and get through it, and then maybe if I had time, go back to it and like show off the extra stuff if I felt like it.
Yeah, I mean, Mass Effect, I would have no problem doing an LP of, or Dragon Age, no problem doing those.
Also, because part of me feels like I know people want to watch LPs for the story, but I feel bad for anyone who wants to, not because they're missing out on anything if they want to watch an LP of an RPG, but I don't think I would have fun necessarily LPing an RPG. Because I would feel like when I play RPGs, I just want to sit down and play it for a while and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah, it's your private time.
I would feel like I'm being rushed probably if I LP'd it. Where if I played like a more action-based game, I could talk, I could joke around while I'm playing it, and people who are watching it will be watching it mainly for the what I say and just the action in the game instead of like what's going on. Or I could make fun of the stupid stories. Like I haven't beaten Metal Gear Rising, but I'm pretty sure that I could LP that and just make fun of it as I go. Not that it's a bad game, but
it's got a lot of like intentionally dumb things.
Yeah. No, I think we touched on something there. I think I wouldn't mind also archiving my streams of that stuff just in case anybody wanted to watch it. Probably for most RPGs I would like to, because again, I'm a social person. I like reacting off of other people and playing off of other people. So, playing a long RPG and having somebody to bounce off of is something that I've been wanting to do, but like, who can come over my house for 80 hours, and play a game?
I remember when
if I'm streaming, that I always have something.
No, I was just going to say, when you were modding my Dreamcast, we were talking about Skies of Arcadia, and I remember you said, like, oh, we should LP that, and then you were immediately like, wait. It's like, it's not going to happen. Although speaking of which, I actually would very much like to Let's Play Skies of Arcadia or Valkyria Chronicles, but God only knows when I'll be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I should do Skies, so I would definitely do a straight LP of that. That's like the only one that I think I would be like on the longer side would be comfortable doing that with, just because I love it so much, and I've also beaten it already, and it's been a long time since I've beaten it.
Same. I played it in like maybe college, definitely high school.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played it since. Yeah, college, third year college probably, to 2007. So and that was always a game that I always loved playing. Even just like not even beating it, just playing that game is fun.
It's great, yeah. So that definitely covers that. At this point, we've actually broken 2 hours, so I think it's about time to call it a session.
Yeah, we've done some damage here, and I really appreciate those questions. They were a lot of fun. You probably didn't expect the kind of answer that you got, with as much detail as we went into.
That's us.
But that's us, and you can always expect us to think a lot about a subject when you give it to us. So once again, thank you for your continued support. Please give us thumbs up, give us feedback, and give us iTunes ratings. We still don't have a public rating on iTunes yet, so please, give us a rating. Maybe we might even do a contest having to do with that. And even if just 5 of
you give us 1 star each, that's 5 stars. So
so on average, that's 5. Yeah.
Wait.
But yes, we want to spread the word about this. I have quite a few followers on SoundCloud now, and people that are liking it every time. So, and I wish I knew like some statistics as to who's subscribing to our RSS feed. But it seems like the main hub for our comments is the YouTube page, which is good. But keep it up. Keep asking us questions and keep interacting with us, because we love it very much.
For sure.
All right. Well, until next time, we'll catch you.
Yep. Bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.